back to this episode of BvG, and here we go with Scott telling us why he's dumb and wrong.
Not true. Little Caesars. Pizza that anybody can afford. Pizza that,
I'm gonna start.
I mean, it is. It's, you might, I wouldn't want to call it the poor man's pizza, but I'm like, it's value pizza. I live down the street next to all of these places, apparently, but I live walking distance from a Little Caesars. And my neighbors, all of my neighbors, every day, I see 2 sets of families a day walking back down the street, back to their homes with a Little Caesars in their hands. Like, Little Caesars is loved in this area. They get a ton of business, and Little Caesars is good. When I was in college, I couldn't really afford even Pizza Hut. Like, I would go in for Little Caesars because I'm like, this is value pizza at a value price. And I was never disappointed. That's the thing about Little Caesars. Like, it's a good thing we're not stacking it up next to a pizza place because it would definitely lose.
Yeah, right.
But next to a separate chain, especially Quiznos, and I have my reasons on Quiznos, Little Caesars, it gets you what you want at a price that Scott, you're willing to.
I know I've been in this position before where I'm very quick to concede, but I've never been to Quiznos before, so I feel like I can't even defend.
You've never been to Quiznos?
I knew of it because there was one in Town Lake for a while, and I know that they had their pepper bar and that very outlandish commercial, which, to be fair, was excellent advertising because I'm still talking about it even to this day. Quiznos is still around. The one in Town Lake is gone, but like, I love how Subway is like, how can we put these guys out of business? Oh, put a toaster in our restaurant. And it was like, that's it. Bye. So
that's right. Cause that was like the Quiznos whole thing was like toasting the bread.
And I'm feeling you on Little Caesars. It's like, I honestly think that right now in particular with like nearly 25 million people unemployed, Little Caesars is like probably feeding like 65% of those people. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Little Caesars,
they're getting huge pizzas for like $5.
Yeah,
like,
you're getting some big pizza. That being said, low quality, but you're paying for the quantity. So I respect that. Little Caesars,
it's a meal.
Yes,
it's a meal,
and also pizza.
Exactly, pizza.
Imagine
Quiznos. I'm sorry.
Imagine if Julius Caesar, the conqueror of the Gauls and the Germanic tribes, were like, we named a pizza place after you. He's like, what's pizza?
Yeah, oh gosh. Little Caesars, in honor of you, Julius, my lord. Yeah, oh gosh. Yeah, that is it. That Little Caesars, the company Little Caesars is basically Brutus. Et tu, Brute?
Et tu, Brute? That's good. All right, Little Caesars wins this one. Any final remarks?
Yes, why Quiznos is bad. Quiznos, I remember Quiznos because there's a Quiznos on my college campus, and I ate there frequently. And granted, I ate there frequently because the other options were terrible. And Quiznos, Quiznos are not notably bad. It tastes good, but I will say I never had a good experience at the Quiznos that I would go to, ever. And I don't know if I sound mean saying this, but like all the employees at this Quiznos were like ex-cons.
Really?
They were extremely rude. Did not give a flying fart about their job.
Jeez.
And honestly, like that Quiznos, I don't know if it's because it was Nashville, Tennessee, and it was on a college campus, but Quiznos is freaking expensive.
Really?
Like, yeah, Quiznos is expensive to me. Like, so Firehouse Subs, like we talked about Firehouse Subs already, it's not cheap. But like I said, a part of Firehouse, besides it's being delicious, is that some of that money is going back into the community for the fire men and women to get gear. So it's like, okay, I'm paying a premium price because it's kind of coming back to me in safety gear for men and women who deserve it. Quiznos was just expensive. And all they did, like you said, was like, oh, we'll toast your bread for you for an extra $5. I don't get this. It's like, come on, guys. And like, again, I hate that Quiznos. I ate there more than I should have. But again, my options were terrible at the time. But, I never was like, I'm so glad I got this. It's like, I don't know what they did to my sandwich anymore.
Why is there
Like, I
stab
don't know if
marks?
I'm like, it's these ex-cons looking at this, like, you know, college kid across the sneeze guard, and I'm like, I've got my whole life ahead of me, and they're stuck at a Quiznos. I'm like, they hated me.
All right.
I wasn't even rude. They just hated me.
Now, this is quite the matchup we have here. In-N-Out Burger versus Wendy's.
In-N-Out versus Wendy's. I'm going to say, instead of the coin flip, let's just go with this. I bet that you've probably been to In-N-Out Burger more than I have.
I've been there at least like 8 or 9 times.
Okay. I'm going to say, unless you want to defend Wendy's, you should defend In-N-Out Burger.
Okay.
I've been there, but I have not been there as many times as you. So you should. I think you'll do a better job of arguing their corner.
Fair. I respect that. All right.
And
So In-N-Out has possibly one of the best burgers in fast food history ever, and something that it does so well. And I truly mean this. I know that there's a lot of hyperbole as far as like talking about these fast food places, but like, no joke, I've never been to an In-N-Out where I was like, wow, this wasn't what it was advertised. Those burgers are always, they knock it out of the park every time. Like nice green pieces of lettuce and red juicy tomatoes and nice crisp onions and fluffy, nice buns and delicious burgers and presented just wonderfully. They've standardized they've got down to an art. And also apparently they pay their workers really well and treat them really well, like the same way that Chick-fil-A does. And like you can actually make a modest living working at an In-N-Out, working your way up. Like the way that we have our Chick-fil-A's in Georgia and also to the southeast where like the drive-ins where it's like the double like drive-through because it's just that popular. Yeah. That kind of setup I will see for In-N-Outs in California. Now, like, right. And their milkshakes are really darn good too, like really flavorful and satisfying. That being said, I will say I don't really care for their fries. I think their fries are pretty basic, even with like the slice of cheese they throw on there and the animal style dressing, which is just Thousand Island dressing or whatever, basically.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, it's I'll eat them, but I'm not like clicking my heels. I'm like, wow, this is like I'll say Checkers fries, for example, a bit of a callback, are much better than In-N-Outs. But In-N-Out's burgers, I mean, they're great. That's like the backbone of their business, and they consistently do a great job at it. Like I'll go to Wendy's and I'm like, oh, this burger looks sad. Or I'll go to Wendy's and I'm like, oh, this burger looks great. But like,
this burger looks like it's been crying.
Yeah, it looks like it's sad and the ingredients are awful and it was poorly put together. Like because this particular Wendy's isn't very well run. Versus In-N-Outs, where I'm like, no, this company is very adamant about making sure that every single In-N-Out is up to snuff. There's a standard and you have to meet it. And that's one of the biggest victory points for In-N-Out is that they are, when you go to an In-N-Out, you know what you're getting. You can trust it.
That's fair. You make some solid points. Also, the In-N-Outs that I have had, they are always very good. And I really enjoy, they call it, what is it, protein style? With the lettuce and the buns. I love that. Huh?
You got it. Protein style. Absolutely.
Yeah, protein style. I was a big fan of that. I really enjoyed that. I try to recreate it at home every now and again. Big old fan. Okay, Wendy's. I gotta say, In-N-Out is very good. Like I said, I have been a few times. I really enjoyed them. Wendy's, you say like you never know the consistency of Wendy's, but I'm like, I've never been to Wendy's where I experienced anything other than like a nice, juicy, supple, albeit square patty of beef.
I've also had friends who've had pretty bad experiences. I know it's a bummer when there are people who ruin it for everybody else, where it's like the Wendy's in Town Lake was amazing. They were always on point.
Very good. Yes.
Butt Hirasashi, you know him. He had a Wendy's he loved to go to, but they went to a different, I guess, management, and they would purposely like, it's like 8:00 and he's driving up to it and the lights are off, but you can still see people there purposely hiding from serving him and other people. And it's like, what the hell? And I even told him, I called the general manager, call Wendy's corporate. Like, this is unacceptable. And even then, Wendy's corporate like never followed up with them. And I'm like, gosh, that's a big deal when these employees who are hiding from customers. That's ground for like fire everybody. We start over. So
right, yeah. We got to change up the foundations. Dave would not be happy.
Oh no, Dave would go in there with a bullwhip and start cracking it.
I'm gonna have to. I would like to argue Wendy's side, Wendy's corner better. I think their food is perfectly good. I used to love Wendy's. My favorite thing, and this is something that, I mean, granted, it's not like Wendy's invented it, but they definitely advertise it. I personally thought I invented it. Wendy's had really good fries. I actually always really enjoyed Wendy's fries. I thought they were really, like, I almost loved how much salt they put on them. Like, they really salted the crap out of those fries, but they did it in the right way. Because you dip those fries into one of those classic chocolate Wendy's Frosties, that is a match made in heaven, my friend.
My little sister does that still. Rachel still does that. And
it's a good time. I mean, it's probably not a good decision, but it's a good time.
Let's be real. None of these fast food places are good decisions.
No, not really. But Wendy's, I mean, Wendy's has a lot. I think Wendy's, other than the one that your friend was at, like, Wendy's has plenty of good things going for it. I mean, golly, their main focal point now, which I think, call it good or bad, I'm like, I drive by Wendy's plenty of times nowadays, and I'm like, the most common sign I see outside of Wendy's is actually a sign for their Frosty, not even their burger.
Well, their Frosties are legit. I mean, that's like,
Frosties are wonderful. I love their Frosties. They are really good.
I gotta give it up. I feel like there's like your signature burger, but even then, like a burger is a burger across the board for the most part. Like, it's kind of hard to really mix that up. Versus, I mean, unless you're like Red Robin, which like is like a burger place, but like. Like, whereas, like, here's the Hawaiian with a jalapeno pepper and pieces of pineapple or something. I don't know. I think I screwed that up. Whatever. But like, Frosty is distinct to Wendy's, the same way that the Blizzard is distinct to Dairy Queen. I guess, like, here's my biggest issue. Now I'm just opening up. In-N-Out makes one hell of a burger, and again, you can trust it, you can count on it. Fries, milkshakes, pretty damn good. I'm not like knocking my socks off the same way that a Blizzard does, but I'm like, still very good. Wendy's has variety. I mean, spicy nuggets, spicy chicken sandwich, variety of burgers, Frosty,
fish too,
chili.
They have good chili and baked potatoes.
They actually take the burger meat, that leftover stuff, which when I say leftovers, not to say it's like bad. It's just that, this is the leftover birdie meat we couldn't use.
On the floor.
Let's throw it in the chili. No, but they the meat in their chili is the burger meat, and I'll be real with you, like, getting some of that chili with a baked potato, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. So Wendy's beats out In-N-Out when it comes to variety. And
they have a lot of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue.
I was actually just going to agree with you. I'm like, expanding on that, like you said, with variety. I'm like, Wendy's, In-N-Out has a better burger, but Wendy's has, like, I think the better everything else. They have better fries. They have more interesting options, and all of their options are actually quite good. It's weirdly better than their burger, which is sad to say, but I'm like you said, their chili is actually really good. Their loaded baked potatoes are really good. Their chicken sandwiches are actually really good. Yeah. I know more people who go to Wendy's for their chicken sandwiches than their burgers.
Yep, I'm one of those people. I think, again, In-N-Out has the superior burger, but I feel like you're putting all your chips on one item and doing your best to perfect it, compared to another restaurant that's got a broad menu that is above average across the boards. You know what? I'll be real with you. I know that Race Best is going to hate me for this, but I'd rather give it to Wendy's just for the variety it has.
Variety, yeah. I think you may have just lost a friend in Race Best. It's okay though. He won't listen. He'll never listen to this.
By the way, I wanted to suggest something as we make our way through this. So this is taking a bit longer than expected. I say that once we get to the bottom of the bracket, we close it up for this episode, and we can do a part 2 for the continued.
Yes, I actually think that's a great idea. I was going to suggest the same.
Cool. All right, we've got 3 more matchups. Let's bump it around here. We got Zaxby's versus Subway. Now, Zaxby's is a chain that some folks don't know about. It's making its way through the country. It's a chicken restaurant. It started in Georgia, and I'll be real with you, I love it. I love Zaxby's.
Oh, yeah. Zaxby's is very good.
All right, Scott, you want to call it? We'll do Zaxby's gets heads, and then Subway gets tails.
Is that the same we normally do? When I call tails, it ends up like it'll go heads, and somehow I'll still get tails.
Or how about? What was the other? How am I screwing this up?
Okay, we can think about this. Let's say. Oh gosh. Okay, so we just have to say that if I'm choosing and I say heads, and it comes up tails, that means I have to have Subway. That's basically what we're saying, right?
Yes. So you're choosing, and heads is Zaxby's, tails is Subway. How about that?
Okay.
So I flipped it.
I call you. Yep. Okay. Heads then.
All right. So you get Zaxby's.
Oh yes.
Dang it.
Thank goodness. Hey, it's your first sandwich place.
It's the worst one of all.
That's right. First Subway.
I think there's people who are listening who are like, it's not that hard. It's a coin toss, Saber. Come on.
Like, oh, gosh.
How do coins work? But,
we have just demolished. I feel like we've just demolished our credentials as
they weren't that great to begin with.
Yeah, I have no credentials. Right. Zaxby's. Okay, Zaxby's is absolutely phenomenal. They are it's kind of just, they are probably the only real competitor for Chick-fil-A. They focus entirely on chicken. They do a really good job of it. They have a special sauce, just like Chick-fil-A does, a Zaxby's sauce, which is wildly different from Chick-fil-A sauce and super good. Oh, that Zaxby's sauce tastes good on all of the things that they make. The chicken, the fries, even their bread tastes good.
Yeah,
and Zaxby's sauce. That sauce is phenomenal. And the thing I love about Zaxby's, granted, it is more expensive than Chick-fil-A. It truly is. Like I get Zaxby's salads and Chick-fil-A salads more often than I should, but I do it just because, it's just easy, good choice. It's kind of an easy, healthier option. And, I just honestly, I'm like, you just spend more on a Zaxby's salad and you're not necessarily getting more, but they're both really delicious in their own right.
Yeah.
So Zaxby's is, like I said, Zaxby's focuses on chicken, and I think they do a great job of it. They have wings that actually taste really, really good. All of their sauces are great. They have super spicy stuff. And I like the variety of spices that they offer. When Chick-fil-A gives you like their spicy chicken sandwich, it tastes great, but I'm like, it's not really that spicy at all. It's like, oh yeah, it just tastes like it kind of has a little bit of something on it. Like you ordered multiple levels of heat when it comes to Zaxby's sauce. They're like, oh, you want fire? No problem. Here it is. Literal fire in your mouth. And people are into that. They give you giant slices of Texas toast with every meal. Just carb you up. Like you finish a Zaxby's meal and you don't feel bad. You're just kind of like, oh,
I don't feel so anything.
I'm gonna take a nap. Like you're just ready for a really great hibernation style snooze. You just carb up. Let's go for a nap, guys. Like that sounds amazing. You know what I'm saying? So you got you got their seasoned crinkle, like really fat cut crinkle fries too. Yep. I love their fries. They have such great fries.
You're making this hard. You're making this so hard. Because the only thing I really got for going for Subway is that it's kind of like in the same vein of McDonald's and Little Caesars. It's like it's quantity over quality. It's cheap. It's got options in the sense of like, it's a sandwich place.
Get together,
It's going for affordability and availability, and that's really the backbone, and that's truly a business model. I mean, it's what McDonald's does. I really think it's not that great, but it's affordable and available, and to a lot of folks, it's good enough. And for Subway, it's good enough, and I give them props for having their $5 footlongs for a bit, which are no longer a thing because of price inflation, or whatever. But I really think that all things considered, this is just my weak attempt to at least give them props. College me, it was a Friday. This is just a scenario which has happened a few times during college, but it's like, you know what? I don't want to eat fries and burgers. I want to eat something a bit more healthy, of substance. I'll go to Subway. I'll get a 6-inch turkey with a bag of baked Lays and an ice soda and a baked cookie. And I'm like, that's something where I think a lot of people can relate to, where it's like, I know what it is. I know it's not 5-star dining. but it's something I can at least count on the same way you go to McDonald's and count on a quarter pounder with cheese, or Little Caesars, $5 pizza or whatever. Like it's something the masses, can enjoy.
Yeah, you're right. And I think you made a fair point. Subway's advertising is actually, in my mind, terrible. I saw a Subway billboard over the highway one day. I swear it just said, Subway, it's food.
Subway, it's food.
Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, it is food, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
Well, and also like they had a Jared, which was like, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about. I think I heard some comedian say like, all right, Jared, you've been given like a golden pass in life. You literally you're rich and you're an icon of advertising and people know you. All you have to do is not diddle kids. And what's the one thing he did? And it's like, bro, like go to jail. Like you just royally screwed up. All you had to do was not do the one thing that's like one of the worst things ever. Like, come on. So
yeah.
So it's like, God damn it.
I think honestly, like I think in this bracket we're looking at a pretty obvious win here over just sheer quality of food.
I agree. I love Zaxby's. I do.
Yeah, Zaxby's is fantastic. They do a great job on everything they do. I would love it if their prices would come down some. Like honestly, like there's days where I feel like I can't really afford Zaxby's because I'm like, I can't get it. Even if I kind of want them, like, nah, I can't spend $10 on a salad. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah,
it's just a good idea. And I gotta say, like, a credit to Subway. Granted, their advertising is awful. You drive down the highway, especially if you're going like in between states on a vacation, whatever it may be. You stop for gas. There's usually two things attached to that gas station. There's a McDonald's and there's a Subway. And I'm like, when you're driving and you're like, man, I've done nothing but sit all day. I feel terrible. I'm like, you usually like, so you want Subway is like the classic lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they
agree.
They place themselves strategically next to options that are worse than themselves.
By the way, I'm looking at Jared's net worth. He had $15 million at the height of his career. It's which is kind of ironic because I looked it up. Guess how long he's in jail for?
How long?
15 years. Get him for each million. Yeah, he's in federal prison too. Good riddance.
Is he still? How long ago was that? I mean, I assume he's still in there. But I'm like, is he coming out soon?
He's probably not coming out. I don't think he's coming out until 2030. So he's in there for the rest of this decade.
Really? Oh, I feel like that was so long ago.
Yeah, it was like in 2015 where I think things went down. Let me check. But here, I'll read it while we do our next debate.
Yeah.
As I'll skim it over. But I say we give it to Zaxby's. Zaxby's is just, I mean, like I love their food. I love their sauce. I love the salads are great. Like
they are really good salads.
Good quality. The only downside is they're a bit more on the pricey side, but it's worth it. Oh, yeah. Wow. This next matchup is kind of legit, actually, because I feel like these two are kind of in the same wheelhouse as far as restaurants go.
Definitely. I'm going to go tails on this one if I'm able.
All right. Tails would be Arby's
yeah.
And then Hardee's is heads. So it came up heads. So
that means I have Hardee's.
Okay, cool.
That's how it works. I choose a side, and if it comes up the opposite of that, that means I don't get what I wanted.
Okay. That means wait, so you get Hardee's?
I have to argue for Hardee's because I called tails for Arby's.
All right, cool. I'm glad. Arby's is pretty sweet. All right, go ahead.
Credit sweat. Hardee's, also known as Carl's Jr. to those of you who are, I believe, the Midwest? Is Carl's Jr. there? And
Midwest
Hardee's here?
And yeah, I think they're on the West.
And West?
Too. Yeah.
Okay. Hardee's, a lovely little chain, honestly. They give you a lot of value, as I recall. Their burgers are massive. Okay. And they're really good. They taste, there's a Hardee's not too far from me. I think you recall there's a Hardee's in Town Lake.
Yes.
Been there a handful of times. My dad is a big fan of their breakfast food, their biscuits. He loves them. So I've had plenty of their breakfast and lunch, and they do a really good job. There's a lot about, like I said, honestly, one of my favorite things about Hardee's is, like, again, when it comes to any as a consumer period for almost anything in life, I'm like, when you feel like you've gotten a good value for your money, you're pretty content. Honestly, I'm like, whether you feel like, oh, that was the best burger ever, or like, yeah, that was, it's good. Honestly, I was like, when you feel like, you know what, this is what I paid for, and I'm happy with it, you feel good about it. And Hardee's is a lot of that for me. I think it tastes really good. I love the size. I love the portions. Their fries are actually really good. I think they do a really good chili cheese fry.
Okay.
From there, which is, that's just fun. Because I'm like, you got a nice tasty little chili, you got your cheddar cheese on top of it, and they, like I said, they actually do have good fries. I would put them right up there with, like, not McDonald's fries. McDonald's fries are truly excellent when it comes to, like, the burger joint style, like burger and fries kind of fast food. But I'd say Hardee's fries are right there with, like, Burger King fries. Like, good. They're really solid fries. They're not too skinny. They got a nice crisp to them. They taste like potatoes, which is always nice to me. And again, I'm like, you see, like, these Hardee's burgers are like, it's like thick cut tomato, a nice amount, like a good crunchy lettuce. Like, the burgers look like they were now you say handmade, you're like, oh, did you wash those hands? Oh gosh, Corona burgers. But I'm like, those burgers look like they were homemade because they're not like perfect squares. They're not perfect circles that look they've been mashed into like just a meat tenderizing thing. They look like they were like kind of rolled and pressed by hand onto the grill. So they're a little like lopsided looking. They give me a vibe of like somebody put this burger together and they cared. Like, they took the time, they rolled out the meat, they squashed it down, they hand cut a nice chunky slice of tomato for me. The lettuce is good, the pickles are crisp, like everything about it was like, it feels like a homemade burger. And I like it. I'm a fan.
I feel like Carl's Jr. is, Hardee's and Carl's Jr. is like, at least in my experience, like, it's more for, like, it's funny you bring up your father, because I think my dad likes Hardee's as well. I think it's more of a boomer restaurant, if anything.
It might be.
I don't really see people from my generation who are like, yeah, let's go to Hardee's. Except I think Race Best does. Race went to Hardee's Carl Jr.'s a few days ago. Because I've been there a handful of times. I like it. I think it's got a bad rep. It doesn't have as much buzz as, like, of course, McDonald's or Wendy's. Yeah. I think it knows what it is, where it's like, yeah, we're not the flashy flash restaurant, but here's a burger. And it's like, oh, this is a nice, thick, juicy burger with, char grilled and everything. It's good. I will give credit where credit is due. They make some good burgers. And I think they're the ones who, this is a testament to human stupidity in here in America, where they offered the 1/3, because there's a quarter pounder, and they are like, well, here's our 1/3, of a pound.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they're always like,
right.
that's less than the quarter pounder. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's more. And they're like, no, 3's less than 4. And it's like, no, you're stupid.
That's right. They do a 1/3 pounder. That's absolutely right.
So
funny.
Yeah, Americans are like, it's less, and it's like, no, it's more. But to pony up for Arby's, I love Arby's. I love that they have sliced meats. They got like broad variety of food where it's like deli. With like gyros and big stacks of roast beef sandwiches with cheese, with barbecue sauce. You got those mountains of meat. You got the like rye bread turkey. It's like a delicatessen to a degree. And also those curly fries. I mean, who does curly fries as well as Arby's in the world of fast food restaurants? Nobody.
Yeah.
Arby's is like cornered. Their Arby's sauce is like a tangy barbecue sauce, and then their horsey sauce is a nice, like, of course, horseradish, like creamy horseradish sauce. I mean, like, good on them for having two sauces that are like truly unique when it comes to the fast food restaurant chains. They got that Jamocha milkshake, like, oh my gosh, like, shout out to Seth from Shiloh. Dude, remember when he got upset because someone didn't bring him Arby's, and I think he threw something at somebody, or he threw a fit, or both, I forget.
I think you're actually talking about me.
No, it wasn't you. I vividly remember Seth. Vividly.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it out of reach of you behaving this way, you rough.
I'll tell you this. I mean, you'll remember the story as soon as I started, but go on. Well, so you recall there was a day where Olivia had her mom bringing her food.
I remember.
Right? And I asked, I was like, Olivia, would you mind? I'll give you money. Like, would you mind having your mom bring me food? And she's like, no, I can't. My mom's just going to bring food for me. And then she ended up bringing food like for like two of the other girls, but for not me. And I was like, what the heck? Like, why didn't you bring me food? Like, what's the deal? Like, I was going to pay you. Like, I was not like I wanted you to give me free stuff. And honestly, I got more upset than I should have. But I was like, it's basically just kind of like you just said no to me, but yes to the other people. What's the deal? I thought we were friends kind of thing. And then for some reason, because I was mad, one of the girls, Jessica, you remember Jessica?
Oh, I remember her, yeah.
She threw an apple at me and hit me right in the middle of the back.
I remember the apple throwing. I remember that.
Yeah, that was part of the whole thing. They're like, oh man, Jessica and Courtney was cool for a while, and then she started to hate me.
I thought you were. Didn't you save her? Like, she got drunk one night, and you like whisked her away from like up the police or something. I forget. Like,
she got like. I mean, I don't want to throw stories out there, but it's not like we're giving out last names. Yeah, she got completely tanked one time, and I was at that soiree, that little party, and I'm like, I wasn't drinking because I could just see everybody else was just blasted. So I was like, somebody's gonna have to get these people home. So I literally like, she was so gone, and the other people were so freaking stupid that I literally like picked her up because she was tiny and carried her out of the house and drove her home.
I remember
I forced somebody else. The only other person that wasn't drinking, I was like, get in your car, we're taking her home, and then you're driving me back here so I can leave.
So I was Mr. Hermit Crab Warcraft during that time, so I would only hear about the escapades that the other classmates got into. And I remember hearing about that one where someone's like, yeah, Scott saved Courtney. She was drunk and he got her out of there. And then like a month later, she was like mortal enemies with you. And I was like, what happened? It's like, even the court jester that I was still perplexed, where I'm like, why does Courtney hate Scott? He saved her. Like, what happened? So
yeah, everybody had a reason to hate me.
But no,
I'm sure I gave them reasons in small ways, but anyway,
people are out to get you. But going back to the Arby's thing, I do vividly recall Seth got very emotional one day because I vividly remember him being like, "Wow, Carver, thanks a lot," and I'm like, "What? Like, I got Arby's. Shut up! Like, you don't. Why do you feel like you this?
I do remember that
socialist bastard. Like, I'm not giving you my Arby's."
Yeah, he was like brooding on the lunch table, like so mad because he didn't get his Jamocha.
Yeah, in hindsight, it's so petty and funny. It makes for great stories. But yeah. I will stand by Arby's. I legitimately think I know the Simpsons ripped on Arby's, being like, "There's nothing to eat here except Arby's," because they're like straight on an island with a bunch of kids, and the kids are like, "Ew, Arby's! No, we're not that desperate." I'm like, "What's wrong with Arby's?" Like, yeah, I like Arby's. I mean, it's a bit pricier though. I will admit that. But yeah. I think it's unique and it's got good flavor. So I'd personally give it to Arby's.
Yeah, I'm honestly gonna concede right away. I like Arby's a lot more than Hardee's. Arby's, I would eat Arby's over Hardee's pretty much every time. I don't dislike Hardee's, but I'm actually much more of a fan of Arby's. I've had Arby's a whole lot more. Arby's is like a part of my history. They've got the French dip with the au jus sauce. It's actually really freaking good. And just the freaking Jamocha shakes are so incredible. And they even have like your market fresh option that's at Arby's, where it's like crisp lettuce and tomato, like bacon BLT sandwiches on really nice, soft, like sourdough bread and stuff. And like their chicken salad sandwich is actually really good.
Yeah,
like, they have really good stuff for you that was like healthier options. And then there's your like 8 slabs of meat in between 2 buns.
I love it. I legitimately love it.
Yeah,
I
love curly fries, man. Hardee's is, like I said, Hardee's is fine, but Arby's curly fries, brother, no best.
And we meet our final tournament bracket here. We got Chipotle versus Domino's, which is another oddball combo because they're quite different. Yep. All right, Scott.
Heads. I'm gonna throw up for heads here.
All right, so I'm flipping the coin. It landed on tails. So what does that mean?
All right, I'm defending Domino's then.
All right. Chipotle. It's a step in the right direction for us as a society. To say,
I don't disagree, but I think that's a great starting point. That's a good platform.
The cavemen in their drive-through cars, scratching their unibrows with their clubs, ordering sandwiches, versus the evolved gentleman walking in with his 3-piece suit into Chipotle, walking to the counter, getting to pick and choose and have a face-to-face interaction with another honest-to-God human being. I'd like to have a protein burrito bowl because I'm going to go lift 200 pounds tomorrow. Like that is Chipotle. Good combination of fresh ingredients and at a modest price and nice smiling workers who are like, hey, like, I know we just met, but I'd take a bullet for you if I had to. And I'm like, thank you. So yeah, and they get a bag of chips. And I'm like, yo, that's
a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips. So yeah, Chipotle is pretty great. And I think their price range is quite modest for what they offer.
All right. I like that. Chipotle is wonderful. I actually really, really like Chipotle. But let me ask you this. Chipotle is there, and it's great. And truthfully, yeah, it's probably a good decision. But when you're thinking of like delicious food, something that you really want, something that, you know, you don't have to think about working out when you eat. Domino's pizza, man. That garlic crust.
Scott, do you actually believe in Domino's? Come on, be real with me, bro.
I love Domino's. I do. I really love it. I think Domino's is a wonderful pizza place, especially now. Like when we were kids, Domino's sucked. But now they've got like the special garlic bread crust that's just super good. They've done everything. They've revamped it. It tastes wonderful.
That was a game changer because I remember when I used to go hang out at Robert's house, his family would order Domino's and be like, hey, you want to, stay for dinner? And I'm like, sure. And I remember like also eating leftover pizza in their fridge, and I'd eat the Domino's pizza. And I'm like, it just kind of tastes rubbery, but I'll eat it. But then like one day I remember like biting to the garlic crust, and I was like, whoa, like this is different. This is different.
That crust does it, man. And honestly, I'm like, when I order out for food, or when I go out for food, it's like, again, Chipotle is extremely tasty. But I'm like, not that I can make Chipotle, but I'm like, I can make healthy food options for myself, and I can save money by making them.
You can make a pizza at home. You can spend $1 and make a pizza at home.
But it's not going to taste as good as Domino's. It's not going to taste as good as Domino's. It's not going to have the delicious sauce and cheese combination that they do, right? The amazing bread that they have now, the garlic crust. Like, it's like I order food in because I don't feel like cooking. So I'm like, I'm not like, give me something that I really want. Give me something that's going to make me like relax at the end of the day. I'm like, Chipotle it's like, again, it's good, but I'm like, I would rather spend the money on a pizza than Chipotle, because that pizza is like gooey, delicious, just, it's a warm hug. It's like, good job, buddy.
The price is pretty good too.
You succeeded in your day, sir. You made it. Have a reward of delicious garlic bread pizza.
I also like their I think it's called chicken cuckers, where it's like we've grown scientifically birds have no bones, so we can eat chicken wings without bones. And I'm like, boneless chicken wings. So humans can, whenever I wonder if humans can become a spacefaring race, I take a bite out of a boneless chicken wing, and I'm like, yes, we can.
Yes, the thing I will say, I mean, right now I think Chipotle is delivering because of COVID. I can't remember, but the thing about Chipotle, while it is delicious, like, it's such a pain in the butt because you can't get it brought to you. You gotta go get it.
True.
And there's always a line, and you're like, when you're coming home from work, and let's say on a Friday, Friday is pizza night at my house. Like, that's when we have pizza. I don't have to cook. Fridays, sometimes they're not super long days for me, but I'm like, you know what? It's the start of the weekend, super chill night. Let's have some pizza. We'll have some of our treats, whatever it is. Sometimes I'll bake cookies for us. We just like, let's have a nice chill night, watch a movie, have some za. Domino's is a pretty consistent go-to for us. I mean, granted, my wife loves Pizza Hut. That is her number one pizza. And so I will allow that because I love her.
Dump.
but like when we do want Chipotle, like I'm always happy to get it, but I'm like, I gotta stop to go get it. I gotta wait in line while I'm there. I'm like, sometimes like you can order where you can go in and grab it, and like that's nice. But I'm like, Domino's, it's like you get comfort and deliciousness just delivered to you where you don't have to make any stops. You can just go home to your wife and your child and just have a big warm family hug and eat pizza together and watch a wonderful movie and just live a good life.
Scott, that's such a passionate defense. Domino's wins.
Yeah,
I'd be real with you. If I'm gonna let my guard, I'm gonna say real fast. I think Moe's is better than Chipotle, but even then, those burritos. I do. I think the burrito making places can be really good at times, but I've also had really bad experiences at a lot of these burrito places where I'm like, this isn't really doing it for me. So yeah.
All right. Dang. Well, I appreciate it. I think Domino's is fantastic pizza, and I'm like, in the long run, I'm like, Chipotle has great food. I do really like them, but it's like I don't get food until I don't want to cook, and when I don't want to cook, I don't want to stand in line either. I just want to go home.
I just want to exist. All right.
Thank you.
This is a really interesting matchup coming up because one of these I feel very passionate about. All right.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Call it.
I'm gonna go tails. I'm going tails.
Lucky.
Yes.
Lucky. Dang it.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, thank goodness.
Five Guys is arguably one of the best burger chains across the entire country. I mean,
do you even believe what you're saying right now?
I do. Five Guys is good. I mean, I've had
okay.
Five Guys is like, wait, what you call on your burger? And it's like, what options don't you have? You got like nice fried onions and nice quality lettuce and tomato and mountain fries. Fries that pile up to the ceiling. And my mouth is just water and thinking about it. And the burgers are wrapped up in tin foil, and it's like, bam! There's your triple burger with melted cheese. The cheese is drooling down off the burger, and I'm like, this is like Burger King and McDonald's try, but Five Guys, they just throw that burger down. Like, that's how you make a burger with high quality ingredients and a mountain of fries, and also, buddy, when you're waiting in line, you got a barrel full of peanuts you can snack on. Who does that?
That is customer service, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good right there.
I'm not a fan of Five Guys fries though. They they're so oily to me that I'm like, I feel like the bottom of their brown paper sack that they put their food in is just going to drop out the bottom of it.
It is. They are pretty oily. I'll admit that.
That's some oily fry,
and they're pretty soggy too. So
yeah.
So
again, I'm like, a nice burger, sure,
quantity
but
quality.
Bad fries.
That's fair.
Bad fries. All right, Jersey Mike's sub. Another very good sandwich place. I'm just stacking up like sandwich places right now, and Jersey Mike's subs just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I think they have a signature sub. I want to say it's like the Jersey something or other. It's been a while since I've had Jersey Mike's, but like I can remember them well enough, even if I haven't had them in years, at how good they were. Like, again, we're talking like Firehouse sub quality meat and cheese. Like, they layer it on there thick for you. They're not stingy about their sauces and all the other fixins there. And I think they actually have when you want them like baked or just heated up or whatever, like they have a fantastic oven. Like the bread comes out like not dry, but just crisp.
It's like nice and steamed. I think
is that what it is? Yeah. So I'm like, Jersey Mike's sub, and you may remember better than I, but I think they have like a special sauce that's like just amazing.
I didn't know they had a special sauce. That's awesome.
Maybe I could be confusing them with another place that's also really good. That I can't remember the name of. There's only a few that I've ever even seen. But I was like randomly in another state, and then like we ate at this one. Is Lenny's? You ever been to a Lenny's?
Never heard of that one. That one sounds obscure.
It is. It's super obscure. I don't know. It's been a very long time, but they have they have a special Lenny's sub sauce that's like, holy crap, man. But so Jersey, okay, I was remembering that incorrectly. Jersey Mike's may not have that. He doesn't have Lenny's sauce. But either way, I'm like, it is a quality sub again. A fantastic sandwich with perfectly steamed up crispy bread after you run it through the oven. The cheese is melted like so evenly. There's no cold spots anytime it's run through their like conveyor belt of an oven. And again, I'm like, you just can't. It's quality, man. It's quality over quantity. Now, you said quality over quantity for the Five Guys burger. I'm like, and it's a solid burger, and I appreciate like the extras that they could put in there. I think I had a Five Guys burger that was like covered in mushrooms, and it was a good time. It was a good time. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta defer back to like, do you feel good about yourself after one of those? You know,
I'll be real with you. I'm pulling towards Jersey Mike's. I mean, it is just a fantastic restaurant. And high quality. Yeah, I concede.
Okay. And I'm kind of like, I mean, Five Guys is nice, and they give you peanuts. That's great. But I'm like, most of the time, I feel like not good about myself when I've eaten there. The food feels. It's like that thing. It's like it feels good going down, but then you're just kind of like, you just have like a rock in your stomach. And you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna poop. I don't know if I'm gonna poop for the next week.
Bad choice
because of all the cheese.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I feel like this next matchup is just completely unfair and one-sided.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Do you want to...
Yeah.
So, it's just making a buy, like they get a buy because they're amazing.
So it's Long John Silver's versus Chick-fil-A. It's not even the matchup. It's not even fair.
No.
Here's my question. Do you know anybody actually goes to Long John Silver's?
I mean, I live right next to one. I don't go, but they're still open. So I'm like, oh, wait, I can't live right next to a Long John Silver's and a Captain D's, which is like the same restaurant.
I think old people eat there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I will say, and again, a strange argument that I believe came from my brother. He said he went to I want to say it was a Long John Silver's, and he's like, I got their fried fish with broccoli and rice, and their broccoli and rice was wonderful. And I'm like, really?
What was that?
Broccoli and rice?
What was that one restaurant? Like, I remember like going to the mall with you and your brother back in the day, and it was like Piccadilly's. Does that ring any mind?
Yeah, Piccadilly's. Yeah, man. It was like a cafe style restaurant where you ran your tray down the golden slidey bars in front of the sneeze guard and told them what you wanted.
Yeah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, Piccadilly, man. I loved Piccadilly. They're gone.
Oh, they're gone? Oh, well.
I mean, as a company, I don't know, but the only one that I've ever known is long gone.
Rip. All right.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A wins this round. Next.
Chick-fil-A wins because it's freaking Chick-fil-A.
Call it.
Heads. Sorry, heads.
All right, you get which? I get Popeyes.
Okay, man. I should have just gone for Popeyes because I'm kind of almost tired of doing sandwich places.
Yeah, you can do sandwich places.
My which is I have a story for which that I will share, but it wasn't necessarily a bad experience. But it's rumors that I heard about a which that I worked next to. But let me just go ahead and first defend which because my first experience with which was actually when I was living in Nashville and I was in college, and I absolutely adored them. Like the way they do it, you mark off, like you do your little check marks on the menu that's in the bag that they serve you the sandwich in it's almost like fun.
Yeah,
it's like you get to check on, and they give you like a little small space where you can like write your name. I mean, like you write your name I went to a which for the right before the premiere of Dark Knight Rises, and so I put I put my name as Bruce Wayne, and they called it out.
Really?
They called it out nice and loud for me. They knew what I was doing because there was a which that was like connected to the theater, which was weird. but they knew what I was doing, and they just smiled at me and like, Bruce. I'm like, yes.
that's
like I went to.
I dig that. Like you're right. They got good energy with their setup.
They got a good vibe. Their food tastes great. They do like really fun experimental sandwiches that I would not have thought of making. Like they do one where it's like a pineapple. It's a Hawaiian pizza, but it's a sandwich. So it's like ham and cheese and pineapple pieces, and like you can put so many fun, creative things together. And even some of their like specialty sandwiches that they have, like pre-decided upon, are like they're great. I actually had the one with pineapple in it just to be like, I guess I'll try this. It was awesome. It's like the sweet, savory, cheesy loveliness. Like, and they're not expensive. They're real reasonably priced. The portions are good. Like, and they actually have really good milkshakes there. Go figure. I wouldn't have expected it, but they're delicious.
Really?
So,
I think someone told me that. No, DB Matt told me that once. He was like, he said that they had, which has really good milkshakes. I remember getting one and I loved it. You know what? You know what? I'll be real with you, dude. It's gonna be hard to argue with Popeye because I know that they've got like some pretty solid food for like meals, kind of like KFC. Now I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. That spiced chicken sandwich thing that was going on, I thought that was a bunch of hubbubaloo of just like them trying to pick a fight with Chick-fil-A on advertising fronts. Which hey, advertising wise, they really knocked it out of the park by poking Chick-fil-A. They were able to rile up enough support where there was even a shooting at a Popeyes or stabbing or whatever because someone wanted a chicken sandwich. Like, oh my gosh, like where else does that happen? But I finally got the chance to get the sandwich because they used the initial round, people going crazy. Then they finally made it standardized across all the Popeyes. And I was driving to go pick up Lammy one time, and I'm like, oh, I should get some lunch before I pick him up. And I went to the Popeyes. It goes off on this exit. And I'm like, oh, they have the sandwich here. I'll try it out. Let's see if it actually lives up to the hype, especially now it's been a few months. Bit into it, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, the crispiness of the chicken is got a nice spicy kick. There's a nice crunch from the dill pickles. The spicy sauce was nice and creamy. The bread was nice and hot and fluffy. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is great. Dare say, rivals Chick-fil-A, like legitimately.
Oh, okay.
That being said, nothing else in the menu really gets me going. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, Popeyes is fine. I have had them. They're good. I think kind of the best part about Popeyes was I would say Popeyes was expensive.
Really? No.
I remember going to a Popeyes and I paid like $8 for a meal, and like, $8, call that expensive or not expensive, but like I paid $8 for a meal, and I'm like, it was like a biscuit, which the biscuits are really good. I actually really like Popeyes biscuits, if I recall correctly, because I can kind of confuse churches and Popeyes. But I remember eating the Popeyes and I was like, this is good, but I'm like, it's not $8 good, and I only got like a biscuit and like 2 chicken strips for like $8.
Really?
It was really expensive. Huh. And it was like, by the end of it, I was like, I did not feel like I got my money's worth.
That's the worst feeling ever, is when you go somewhere and you're like, this wasn't money well spent.
Yeah, like I did not feel like Popeyes is money well spent. Whether you're a diehard fan or not, I'm like, you got to commit. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience, so that's all we can speak from, I guess. But I'm like, the Popeyes I went to, it's not so much that they tasted terrible. I'm just like, I just didn't feel like I got a good value. Like I went there, it was fine, but I paid a lot of money for not nearly the food that I should have received, and it just wasn't good enough.
I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I defer. Which wins it?
Yeah, which is just, it's fun to go in. Okay.
It's hip, it's fun. It's good. I really feel like Popeyes is solid. I personally think it's better than KFC. But yeah, that being said, which is just, I'm a sucker for a sandwich place though. I by the way, folks, ladies and gentlemen, there is very much so bias. It's food. It's some of the most subjective stuff out there.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our victories have been based off of just bias.
Yep. Right.
Like either like an extreme hatred of one side versus the other, even if we don't like the other, or the opposite, an intense passion for the one side versus the other.
I agree. I agree.
It's all extremely biased. So it's a nice like a what do you call that? Little warning, little header for the whole thing. It's like, yeah, this is extremely subjective, everyone. You don't have to go by us. You don't have to be like, I'm never going to Popeyes again. Hey, if you like Popeyes, go to Popeyes.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments. We'd love to look through the comments and see what people have to say. Because this is a big part of it is just how subjective it is, and just knowing people's general thoughts. Because some folks might have an affinity for like Popeyes and be like, you all don't know what you're missing out on, and we just need to be enlightened. But
yes,
on that note,
don't stab us though. No stabbings.
No, not again.
Not again. One's enough.
All right, next time on BvG. We have our follow-up of matchups. We've got KFC versus Panera Bread, Burger King versus Dairy Queen, Firehouse Sub versus Steak and Shake, Del Taco versus Jersey Mike's, Chick-fil-A versus Which Witch, Church's Chicken versus Little Caesars.
All the church in general versus Little Caesars.
The Latter-day Saints versus Zaxby's. No,
Adventists.
I love this one. Wendy's versus Zaxby's. That's gonna be a good one.
That will be good. That actually will be a good.
And then Arby's versus Domino's for the final matchup. Ladies and gentlemen, that is this episode of BvG. We did not go into it thinking that we'd split the matchups, but it became abundantly clear halfway through where we were like, yeah, this is a long episode, so we're going to save the other half for later.
Yes, we'll get the other one going next week. We'll be able to pray about it, think about it, and really in our corners.
Dear God, stay out of our way now. That's a quote. That's the only joke from Family Guy I ever laughed at in the last 7 years.
Was that Family Guy? I thought that was Simpsons.
No, it was Family Guy. I remember, actually, it might have been back in the 2000, the last decade or the previous last decade, the 2000s, where Stewie's like, bring it in. We have to pray. Dear God, stay out of our way. And I was like, I don't know why I think it was his tone that sold it on me. I was like, that's funny, but still.
Solid Stewie voice, by the way. Well played.
Thank you, Stewie. I can't do it. Never mind. It sounded like
you did it great the first time. That one, no.
Yeah, right. All right, Scott. Anything you want to say before we close things out?
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. At this point, please go ahead and start sharing with us why you disagree with some of our ideas and some of our victors. Again, this is extremely subjective, so
yes,
your opinions count just as much as our own. Forgive me. And we want to know what you guys think. I want to know if there's anybody out there who doesn't think Chick-fil-A is just going to walk away with this whole thing. Because honestly, pretty sure it's going to.
Chick-fil-A is a top contender.
Yeah, you're talking to a born and raised Georgia Southerner, birthplace of Chick-fil-A as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like, it's just, there are songs, very popular songs written about Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves it.
Things like Chick-fil-A, Jersey Mike's, Zaxby's, Wendy's, I see these ones pushing through. Well, I see Zaxby's and Wendy's, so that's going to be a round of its own. But there are a few things on this list where I feel like they will go the distance. And I think Chick-fil-A is the one to beat, because that one is just I said before that one of these options was an institution, but I'm like, no, Chick-fil-A is literally a Georgian Southeast institution. And I don't want that to get muddied up with politics, because I know that Chick-fil-A has that aspect to it, which we'll bring up later as we debate. But as far as food goes, Chick-fil-A is going to be hard to beat. So yeah. All right, folks.
Yeah, I definitely want to know who doesn't believe that. That's what I'm interested in.
The naysayer, or what possible contestant could bring the heat and
even better said. Yes, thank you. Even if it's not on the list, if it's something that we haven't mentioned, then I want to know if somebody thinks that this whatever example of restaurant would actually beat Chick-fil-A, especially if we haven't put it on the list.
Well, I mean, and let's make this abundantly clear, because Scott and I both know this. When it comes to fine eating, it's going to be the exclusive local places that will always and forever be the best of the best.
Truth.
You're also paying twice as much, if not a lot more.
Yeah, but you're gonna keep Granny Smith's kids in school by paying those prices.
Precisely. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next time.
We'll see you guys.